a river, and that is where the captives are to be given their last. But as Africans, heaven war.
Without going outside.
You would go outside.
Okay.
You can't stay in here anymore. When you die, your body moving straight into the sea. Out of the 5 chambers that they had We've all been to the male dungeons and we saw the condition down there. So up here, what we do is to compare the governor's room to where the captives also stay. The type of vents that they had down there, 10 of the light, we also have that the place was. But in here, we are all feeling the breeze. You can see how bright the place is without any artificial problem here. And the space all in here was used by one person. Whilst about 700 to 1,000 humans were staying down here. Aside this as the living room, we have this bedroom in here. So please, let's see the bedroom.
There you go. Big, beautiful bedroom, huh? Wow.
All right, so the bedroom of the governor is also having 5 windows. The living room is having 9. His corridor having 2. So 2 plus 5 and the 9 all over is having 16 windows. While 1,000 humans were having those smaller vents we saw down there. There are 9 in the dungeons. And if you are to compare the vents, you will see that what we saw in the dungeons looks similar to what we are seeing here. And the dungeons I made mention, they are just 9. This is just half of a window, which is having 6. That means a complete window should have 12. So one window alone is even more than what the captives have down there. So if you multiply 12 by 16, you are getting 192 for one person, while 1,000 humans were shared just now. And that should give us the big difference between where the governor stayed and where the captives also stayed. If there is no question, let's see the courtroom. Moving out of his bedroom, on your right, you see the governor's wardrobe or closet. Please, come this way.
Ah,
That's the closet.
what's the closet? Okay.
All right, so this part of the castle used to be the barracks for the European soldiers. The soldiers stayed down there, used the middle part as their canteen. George McLean, I made mention, introduced us to the Western Court, which is the room that you just came from. And at a point, the soldiers left this area. They converted this place to a prison for the Africans until the year 1992. That is about 32 years ago. The prison also moved to Ankafu, and today, as you can all see, the place being a craft shop. So it was first a garrison, it became a prison, and today a craft shop. The middle part, that was once the canteen for the soldiers. Today, it happens to be a coffee shop over there. You know, the business here was very profitable. And talking about the business, I mean 2 things. That is the gold business as well as the human trade. So when you get a place and you don't protect your end, others were willing to fight you and take over the land. So this castle we are seeing here, I made mention was built by the English, but then the land itself had been used by 4 different Europeans before the English came in here. You know, the Portuguese happens to be the first settlers on our land. They had the Elmina Castle built somewhere 1482. But at the point, they saw the need to expand their post. So a section of the Portuguese merchants came to this land. Because they already had the Elmina Castle, there was no need to waste resources to build a new one here. So over here, they just built a timber lodge and stayed in for almost 100 years until the Dutch had defeated them at Elmina. So the Portuguese left the Elmina and had to abandon this place. The Swedish took over this land, and the Swedish built a fort here, stayed in the fort for about 4 to 5 years. From nowhere, the Danish came in, fought the Swedish. The Danish used the same fort for about 3 years. The Dutch also came in, fought the Danish, stayed in another 3 years. English came in, took up the fort, built by the Swedish, erected this castle, and stayed here for 296 years. When the English came, they knew enemies would come fight them, so they were fully prepared to protect their gains. So they brought the weapons which surrounded the castle, the cannons. And aside these cannons, they built 2 forts to serve as watchtower. So when you look up on the hill, you can see the white building with a red cap over the fort.
Yes.
It is called Fort William. And there's one also behind this church, also called Victoria, but we can't see it. So Victoria and William served as watchtower. Soldiers up there, when they see intruders from the sea or the land, they signal those in here in the morning with the use of flags. Afternoon, they use mirrors, and evening either would use Morse codes for signals or torches, telling them that enemies are coming. So the soldiers would move from where they stayed, surround the cannons, put in gunpowder, cannonball at the mouth, lights their match, then boom, balls into the enemy ship. Water goes in there, it would sink into the sea. And for that, the English stayed here for the longest period. Out of the 296 years, 183 years was solely for slave trade, and 113 years also for colonization on the sea. Now, please, we have a look at it. Yes.
Why are the cannons facing this way and a direction that is not?
All right. So in the olden days, we believe we were fighting with shields. So with a shield, probably the cannonballs can break them so that they can hide in between there and shoot enemies with the guns. Because you wouldn't take any chances.
So people were not living there?
Pardon?
People were not living there?
They were living there, but they were not as many as we see today. Those days, it would be few, and they wouldn't be as close as we are seeing now. Yet a bit far from what we see here.
Okay.
Certainly, it was close.
You said the prison was closed 1992, right?
Yes, 92.
So it was run by the Ghanaian government after
Yeah, after independence, it was run by. So it's not just this castle. You moved to Jamestown.
Yes.
That place was also a prison. Anamabu was a prison, and some other forts. It was into no use, so they had to convert them into prisons.
And
Defend
that
themselves.
makes sense because it's the same infrastructure as these, even holding prisoners,
captives.
having them go in the yard. have
So the
separate-
Europeans converted it to prisons, and we kept using it for some time till later. We stopped.
Okay.
Please, we go this way. We are
Courtroom. Oh, God.
Yes, please.
You mentioned that this was a prison until 1992, right? You also said that the tourist site opened in 1974.
74, yes.
So there was overlap between
Yes,
so,
prisoners and tourism?
You see, there's now something blocking the art market from this place. So
Yeah.
earlier they had nothing like that.
So where was the tourism taking place?
The tourism aspect would be here, just as you are here.
In
Yeah.
such close proximity to
Most
the
definitely.
prisoners?
And the prisoners were here. So they had a gate there.
Okay.
Because I remember even somewhere 1980s there, they were even having programs in this castle, like a camp drama and those stage plays in here, but there's still the prison was empty.
What was the capacity of the prison?
I am tired. Yeah, so very tired. And it makes it even worse because we're not used to it.
So where you see the moving out, so the moving out, when we're moving out, we get to the shop, look up and you see, so they had the gates blocking the prisoners from those. So the activities here were to progress things. Yeah, there was a because even the prison I think was here 10 years ago. This place
Four parents, so help the Lord.
and he became a ward of place in 1979.
No, you can't give them chance, and that's what they have to do. Bringing back the money, bringing back the Asian, the Chinese, everything. These are European people. When they come here, they're going to destroy. They're going to try. But if they try this time, it's not going to be easy. It's not like before.
You went to a winner. Then I'm not sure you use that because it's either when you're coming from Plan, if you branch this way, you're going to that place. But if you don't branch, you will come straight. Then the wooden seems like. Alright, so we stand inside the first place that the captive will probably get auctioned, as I made mention earlier. So when you get to the castle, in here, nurses, doctors will have them examined to know their strength as to whether they were fit as domestic or commercial captives. Then they march them forward over there. So the merchants over there would also have them exchanged according to their physique and their strength. That was where they gave some gunpowder, mirror, alcoholics, and others before they moved them downstairs for the branding. And the branding is where they put in metals in the fire. When they are red, what they move it into your body just to know whether you were branded by this group or by the other group. This same place we stand is where some 8 frantic chiefs also met with Commander Hill to sign the bond of 1854, the same bond that laid foundation to our organization. And I remember you asked about the bond. You know, before George McLean came in here, the English had one governor, and his name was Sir Charles McCarthy. And McCarthy actually had this war with the Asantes, and he was killed. So when he was killed, the English lost interest in this castle and other as well as English. So they actually left, and he was left with just a few of them. So they brought in George McLean, not as the governor, but rather as the president of the merchants. So when he came in here, he brought a system where, you know, in the olden days, our system was such that if an elderly, and let's say a king gets an issue, the elderly was always right. If a female and a male gets an issue, the male was always right. If a slave and the master gets an issue, the master was always right. So when McLean came in, they were keeping captives in the dungeons, but he brought a system that when the people actually have issues, they could bring it to this castle. So when you enter the castle, whether a slave, a master, a girl, a boy, husband or wife, equality before the law. So actually some of the ladies saw that it was prudent for them to bring their issues in here, because once they bring it in here, they are going to get fair hearing. And as at that same point, humans were still being kept in there. So then when the English saw that now, the people are started getting interested in the European system, now they brought in a new person with the name Commander Hill. So when Commander Hill came, he was like, how come these people can bring in their things, but we don't have any legal binding between them? So for that, there should be an agreement that we will also get to control their land. So the focus for them coming here was to get the resources. So when we came, with the influence of Commander Hill, George McLean designed the bond. And the bond was 1, the people in here should change their cultural practices. 2, they should allow them to control the land. So their laws would govern the land, but the owners of the chiefs will still claim their lands. And lastly, they can also use their weapons to protect them from their Asantes. So that was the bond about it. So it was signed exactly on the 6th of March 1844. The agreement was that exactly 100 years, we give back everything. 100 years in the English said they want to move. They stayed for extra 13 years. That was why when the first president came, Kwame Nkrumah, he was fighting for self-government now. And exactly the same date, 6th of March 1957, Ghana got independence. After independence, the English said they want to move. So they stayed for extra 3 years, 4 months. That was when Ghana became a republican country. It's 1st July 1960. And today, or this year, it is 67 years after independence and also 64 years becoming a republican. Yes, please.
Oh God, I'm tired. I don't know if I can continue with. I don't know if I can continue with the rest of the journey. I am so drained.
We have Unicas, where there happens to be a museum, was a post office. They have post office here. So the seat of government was moved to Accra, 1877. So after 1877, no government stayed. 1877, that was when they moved from there. So Cape Coast was the capital city of Gold Coast until they moved to Accra. When Ghana became independent, it was still a city. So the only thing they were doing here, the prison and other systems. So in terms of Ghana here, almost all the first have outside the Cape Coast. So So the first post office, first custom office, first whatever was actually being planned in this place. First school and everything was right here. But in terms of the European schools, it was Elmina. But the first school to go in the town is Cape. So please, if there's no question, yes please. That was their conference room. Yes. Yes, please. Now the conference room is the other one. Over one. It is just a gap between the conference room. Any questions, please? If there's none, let's see the content itself.
God. This is a lot. Matilda.
The system was such that some were still coming from the stadium no. 4 months before officially left. So that was for the stadium. And I always say this aspect too, there should always be an insider. For someone to get it from outside, that means there should be someone in there who's also willing to accept their proceeds. Alright, so we stand right in front of a condemned cell. You know, a lot of the Africans that were brought in here were warriors from their tribes. So when they brought them out to work, some of them would want to fight the officers, others as well would want to escape from this place. Doing that, you were seen to be rebellious, and for that, the rebellious ones had to be killed to serve as a deterrent for others in here not to repeat the same thing. But in here, they wouldn't shoot them dead, rather in the presence of others, they had them beaten out here before they moved them into the cell. They blocked 3 doors behind them, no food, no water, no air, and no light. So you get dehydrated, you suffocate, and then you die in there. But then the sad aspect is, let's say we are about 5 or 10 or less sent in there. Until the last person in there dies, nobody leave that place. So if you were that strong to withstand the condition for let's say a day or 2, you had to endure the stage of the dead ones. Once they are all dead, bodies are laid on the floor. They bring out the males, is what happened to others, so that next time, if you are also to repeat the same thing, remembering what you saw on the floor would deter you from trying to escape or fight the officers. Then the bodies would move straight into the sea. So we are moving in to have a feel of the place. Please get to watch your head coming here. Yes?
Would this be like similar to like solitary confinement and the
Same.
modern day carceral?
Most definitely. Same. And in here, you see a space having, all because this section 2 was a cell for the European soldiers. Those that were into drinking, going to the town to do things they were not actually allowed to do. When they come, they were kept in here for some days. After you served your punishment, you would go back to your normal days. As an African, you moved to the other point that had 2 extra doors, no food, no water. So moving in, please, get to watch your head. The only original door that we still have in this castle. So any other door, window you've been seeing have all been restored. The last door we have now. Please, join me inside.
I don't know. if I want to go in there. I'm sorry. I can't manage.
And if it's all lines, if it's like
I don't think I can handle it. Oh, I can't. It's really bad. It's just, it's a lot.
Yes. This is nothing can happen to this stuff. Watch out, please.